The thing I remember most is the sound stopping. Not slowly, just gone. Like someone yanked a cord out of the wall a few seconds earlier. They were laughing loud, forks clinking. Someone said my award was stupid. I know that because later that word kept looping in my head like a bad song you can't skip. Then the television above the bar switched channels. I knew exactly what they were seeing at that restaurant. I could picture the moment my face filled the screen, older than I feel, hair pinned back wrong, a name graphic underneath mine. That's the moment everything locked up. Okay, rewind. My name is Marjorie Whitley. Everyone calls me Marot. I live in Portland, Oregon. And most days I smell like lemon zest and garlic whether I want to or not. That night started like any other. Me alone in my kitchen, a pot still warm on the stove, my phone lighting up on the counter. The email had come in earlier that afternoon. I'd read it 3 times, maybe 4. I almost deleted it. Honestly thought it was a scam. People my age don't get picked for things like that. That's what I told myself. Anyway, I sat there too long before texting my daughter. Long enough for the sauce to scorch just a little. You know that sharp burnt smell that means you waited 1 minute too many? Yeah, that I typed, erased. Typed again, kept it simple, told her about the ceremony, that it would be live, that it mattered to me. Her reply came fast. No hesitation at all. We don't have time for your stupid award. I'm going to dinner with my in-laws. I stared at the screen. Then I did something kind of stupid myself. I smiled, typed back. That's fine, I swear. At the time, I meant it, and that's how everything started moving without me realizing it was already too late to stop. The email came in on a Tuesday afternoon. Nothing dramatic about it. Assessed just a subject line that didn't look real enough to trust. I read it once. Then again, then I stood there holding my phone over the sink like it might buzz or explode or admit it was a mistake. They used my full name, not Margot, Marjorie Whitley. They thanked me for my work. They explained the category. Independent, plant-based, artisan, innovation. The kind of words people don't usually put next to a woman my age unless they're talking about retirement. I almost laughed. A short, stupid sound, the kind you make when you don't want to hope. I set the phone down, picked it back up, walked to the window, walked back. I kept thinking about my daughter, about how she'd react, about how tired her voice sounded the last time we talked. Like everything in her life was an obligation she hadn't agreed to. I typed her name, then erased it. I told myself I was just being realistic. She had a life, a husband, in-laws who liked reservations and linen napkins. I was 60. I cooked vegetables and bottled sauce in a rented kitchen with flickering lights. Still, I sent the message. Short, careful. I told her I'd been nominated for an award, that there was a ceremony the following Saturday, that it would be broadcast live. I added 1 line too many. I wrote that it meant something to me. The reply came back fast. We don't have time for your stupid award. No greeting, no pause. Another message followed before I could breathe. You're too old for this. Honestly, you should be at home, not wasting money and time on pointless things. Then the closer, like a door slamming. We're going to dinner with my in-laws that night. I stared at the screen. My thumb hovered, ready to explain, ready to type about categories and criteria and why this wasn't some random participation trophy, ready to defend myself like I'd been doing my whole life. I didn't. I don't know why. Pride, fatigue. Maybe I just didn't want to beg for attention like it was a favor. I wrote back 2 words. That's fine. I put the phone face down on the counter. The kitchen was quiet except for the low hum of the refrigerator. I stood there longer than I should have, feeling that old pressure in my chest, the one that tells you you've just made a choice you won't be able to undo. And for the first time since that email arrived, I didn't feel excited anymore. I felt alert, like something had shifted, and I hadn't caught up to it yet. My husband's name was Daniel. He never called himself a food guy. He just showed up every night around 6 o'clock and leaned on the counter while I cooked. That was our thing, not dates, not talking it out. Food smells good, he'd mumble, even when it didn't. After his second scare, the doctor went quiet in that way doctors do. Daniel nodded. I nodded too. On the drive home, he tapped the dash and went, "Guess we're eating like monks now." We weren't, not really. We just stopped pretending bacon was a personality. I roasted vegetables slower, learned how to build flavor without hiding it in cream. He stood there tasting, adjusting salt with that little pinch he trusted more than measuring spoons. "This works," he'd say. Not praise, permission. When he died, people brought casseroles, heavy ones, cheese everywhere. I thanked them. I ate a few bites. Then I went back to the food Daniel and I had figured out together. Beans done right. Greens that didn't feel like punishment. A sauce that held everything in place. Lemon, tahini, garlic, a touch of maple. I made it the same way every time because changing it felt like erasing him. I cooked even when there was no one to serve. That part scared my daughter later. She told me once, "You're clinging to a phase. It's not a phase." I told her. My voice surprised me. "It's dinner." She rolled her eyes. Power shifted right there. Small but real. I kept cooking, packed jars, labeled them with a pen that skipped ink, gave them away. People came back with empty jars and cash folded too tight. I didn't count it at first. I just kept going. Quick aside, if you've ever kept doing something after the reason for it disappeared, you know how stubborn muscle memory can be. It keeps you upright. The kitchen didn't fix the loss. It carried it night after night, quietly, and I let it. I didn't wake up one morning and decide to build a brand. I just kept cooking and stopped apologizing for it. The farmer's market stall was a favor from a woman named Ellen, who ran the sign-up sheet. She looked at my jars, lined up crooked on the table, and went, "You sure about this?" "I am," I told her. My voice cracked a little. Not enough to back out. The sauce didn't have a clever name yet. Just lemon, tahini, herbs, and enough garlic to announce itself. People tasted it, nodded, walked away, then came back. One guy held up an empty spoon and went, "This doesn't taste like diet food." "Good," I told him. Power shift, tiny. But there they started asking for more. Not louder, not flashier, just more. I raised the price by $1 and felt sick about it all day. No one complained. A woman came back the next week with 3 empty jars in a tote bag. My husband asked where I bought this. She told me that never happens. I wrote the name one night at my kitchen table. Still Leaf Kitchen. It felt right. Quiet. Alive. I printed labels on cheap paper that smudged if you touched them too long. I liked that. It meant the jars moved. I didn't tell my daughter, not once. Not when the market added a second day. Not when a local cafe asked if they could use the sauce on a grain bowl. Not when I opened a separate bank account just for ingredients and learned how fast olive oil prices jump. Honestly, keeping it from her felt like stealing back something that was mine. Here's the part I won't dress up. There were days I wanted to call her and brag or complain or ask if I was embarrassing myself. I didn't. I packed jars instead, labeled them, loaded them into the trunk. Some things grow better when no one's hovering. I kept my head down and let the work speak first. I met her and her in-laws for brunch because she asked. That part still matters to me. I don't show up uninvited. Her mother-in-law, Claire, did the smile first thing, tight, evaluating. Her father-in-law barely looked up from his menu. My daughter leaned in before I could open my mouth. "Please don't bring up the food stuff," she muttered, not asking. "Warning, okay," I told her. I meant it for about 30 seconds. Claire glanced at my hands. "You work with food, right?" "I cook," I replied. My daughter jumped in fast. "It's more like a hobby. Keeps her busy." I felt it land, not a punch, a trim, like cutting off loose ends before they show. At her age, Claire added, "Casual as breathing, that's sweet." My daughter laughed. "Too loud." "Exactly. It's cute, but you know how it is. Some people don't know when to slow down." I took a sip of water. Didn't swallow right away. Let it sit there. Her husband tried to soften it. "Mom just means life gets quieter. Life gets smaller." My daughter corrected him. She looked at me when she did it, checking if I'd flinch. I didn't. "I like my life," I told her, calm, flat, no defense. That unsettled her more than arguing would have. She shifted in her chair. "I'm just saying appearances matter. Mark's family expects a certain image." There it was. The fear slipped out sideways. "So, I'm an image problem now." I kept my voice low. That moved the air around the table. Forks paused. She rolled her eyes. "You're making this weird." "No," I answered. "You are." Claire cleared her throat. "We didn't mean to offend." My daughter waved it off. She's sensitive. Power shifted again. Not loud, not public, but it moved. I didn't correct her. I didn't explain what I was building. I let her keep thinking it was small. Let her keep trimming me down to fit whatever space she was scared of losing. When the check came, she reached for it first. Control habit. I let her have that too. I left knowing something clean and sharp had settled between us. Not anger, distance, the kind that doesn't beg to be crossed. The confirmation email came 2 days later. Short, precise, no confetti language. They spelled out the category again. The category for artisan innovation built later in life. Work that changed how people eat, not how loud they talk about it. There was a paragraph about the broadcast. National Live, a time slot tucked inside a food programming block people actually watch while they're eating. I read that part twice, not because I didn't understand it, because I did. I hovered over my daughter's name, thumb ready. I could have sent a screenshot, could have explained the category, could have softened the word innovation so it didn't sound like I was pretending to be younger than I am. I didn't. I thought about brunch, about at her age, about the way she laughed a beat too fast, like she needed everyone else to agree with her before she believed it herself. I put the phone down. Later that night, she called. Her voice was light, busy. "Hey, just checking. Hey, just you're okay about Saturday, right? I'm fine." I told her that was true, or close enough. "Good," she went on. "We already made the reservation. Daniel's parents are excited." "Enjoy," I told her. She hesitated. "You're not mad?" I watched the cursor blink in my inbox, the email still open, all the details she didn't know, all the ways I could explain myself into a smaller shape. "No," I answered. "I'm not. That did it." Silence on the line, not long, just enough. After we hung up, I closed the email. Not deleted, filed. There's a difference. I made tea, left it untouched, stood there thinking the one thought that finally felt steady. If they didn't come for me, they could see me anyway. I didn't forward the email. I forwarded myself instead into the next few days, into whatever came after explaining stopped being my job. Backstage smelled like hairspray and warm cables. Someone brushed past me and muttered, "Sorry." Without looking, a volunteer pinned my badge a little crooked. I fixed it, unfixed it, let it be. 5 minutes. A man with a headset called out. Not to me, to everyone. Still, my shoulders tightened. My phone buzzed. My daughter, I shouldn't have opened it. I did. A photo came through first, wine glasses touching her caption. Family night, then a text. "Hope your little thing goes okay." Little. There it was again. She followed it fast like she didn't want the silence to sit. "They're putting on some cooking show here. Guess it's your crowd." I typed nothing. Watched the dots appear. Disappear. She sent one more. "Don't stress. It's not like anyone important is watching." I locked the phone and slid it into my bag. My hands were cold now. I pressed them together until they warmed. On the other side of town, they were settling in. Linen napkins, bread basket, someone joking about how long award speeches drag. Her father-in-law lifting a glass and saying to real life like a punchline, my daughter laughing too loud. I could hear it in my head because I'd heard it before. 2 minutes, the headset man announced. I stood where they told me to stand. A woman next to me whispered. First time I nodded. She smiled like it was a rite of passage, not a cliff. A monitor flickered on. Logos, theme music, the kind that plays while people are chewing and half listening. Quick aside. If you've ever been split between 2 places at once, you know the feeling, like a cord pulled tight, ready to snap. 30 seconds. I thought of the table with the wine, the table without me. I thought of my badge, crooked again. I didn't fix it. The countdown rolled. 10-9. The room went still somewhere else. Forks paused. Someone glanced up and then the broadcast went live. The music swelled, the kind that tells people to stop chewing and pay attention. The host stepped into frame. Smile locked in. Tonight we're honoring independent artisans. He opened voice steady. Practiced people who built something later in life. Not loud, not fast, just real. My stomach dropped. Not fear, recognition. He explained the category in plain language. Plant-based, small-batch innovation that didn't chase trends. Work that changed daily habits, not headlines. I felt the room lean in, even the ones pretending not to listen. The camera cut wide, then closer. I saw myself on the monitor before I felt my legs move. The lighting caught every line in my face. I didn't flinch. There wasn't time. And this year's award goes to, he paused long enough to hurt Marjorie Whitley, Still Leaf Kitchen, Portland, Oregon. Applause hit like weather, sudden surrounding. I heard it, but what I felt was weight leaving my shoulders, not lifting, settling somewhere else. The camera found me close, too close. I stood because my body remembered how my badge flashed. Crooked, still crooked. Across town, the restaurant changed temperature. Forks hung mid-air. A laugh cut off halfway through a breath. Someone near their table whispered, "That's her." Not quietly enough. My daughter looked up, not slowly, sharp like she'd been snapped into place. Her mother-in-law froze with the stem of her glass between her fingers. A stranger at the next table turned. Fully in his chair, eyes flicking from the screen to their faces, then back again. The host kept talking. My work, my age, the years it took. The phrase late career landed heavy and clean. I walked to the stage. The steps felt higher than they were. A hand reached out to steady me. I took it, let go. The applause tapered into that thick silence that comes right before a speech. I stood at the microphone and let it breathe for a second. I didn't start early. I began. My voice held. I started honestly. That was it. No mention of family, no payoff lines, just truth. Playing somewhere under a restaurant television, no one was laughing anymore. People were watching. People were understanding. The screen stayed on me a beat longer than necessary. Then it cut away. Reality didn't rush in. It just sat there above everyone's heads, unavoidable. I didn't linger. I shook hands, took the photo, stepped off when they waved me through. The trophy was heavier than it looked. Not in a brag way, in a this is real way. Backstage, my phone went feral, vibration after vibration, names stacking up. I didn't open anything. I slipped the phone into my coat like it might bite. Someone from production leaned in. "Great job up there." "Thanks," I told him. That was all I had. In the car, the silence pressed in. I drove with both hands tight on the wheel, the radio off. My phone buzzed again. Then it rang. Her name. I answered on the third ring. Not to be kind, to be clear. "Mom," she started breathless, I didn't know it was that people were staring." Claire was mortified. I waited. "Let the words find their shape. I'm sorry," she added. "Quick, I didn't realize. You should have told me." There it was. The slide, the save. "I told you enough." I said calm. "Even you chose dinner," she swallowed. I could hear it. I was embarrassed. "I know," I told her. Power shifted, clean. "You don't have to be mad." She tried. "We can talk about it tomorrow." "We can talk," I replied. "I'm not fixing how tonight made you feel." Silence stretched. Not dramatic, just honest. "I'm proud of you," she offered. Softer now. I didn't do it for pride. I answered, and I don't need comfort. I hung up before she could rush in with something else. I sat there a minute longer than necessary. Trophy on the passenger seat, phone face down. I let the quiet hold, not as punishment. As a line, I wasn't stepping back over. I went back to my kitchen the next morning. The trophy sat on the counter next to the flower, heavy and gold against the old wood. The phone rang once, then again I let it. Control can be quiet. I ate standing up. That felt right. Food warm, day starting, no speech to rehearse, no one to impress. Later, my daughter texted. Short, careful. "Can we talk this weekend?" I replied. "Yes," then added at my place. That changed the shape of it. When she came by, she looked like she hadn't slept. Not broken, just unsure where to stand. She glanced at the jars on the counter, read the labels, didn't joke. I was wrong. She offered, not dressed up. "No performance, I know," I told her. "And I'm still doing this." She nodded. "I see that." We ate. We talked about logistics, boundaries, what support actually looks like. No grand reset, just lines drawn where they should have been earlier. Here's the part I want to say out loud because people keep missing it. Awards aren't ladders. They're mirrors. They reflect the work you already put in. Big or small, doesn't matter. Effort does. The hours, the stubborn nights when no one's watching, that's the part worth protecting. They called it stupid. That night, they saw what it was worth to me. I boxed up leftovers, labeled them habit, muscle memory, life. Before you go, hit like if this landed anywhere familiar. Subscribe if you want more stories like this and drop a comment. Have you ever earned something, big or small, that stayed with you long after the noise faded?